Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, Chaos Kids, take a walk on the wild side. I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos.
Oh.
I'm sorry, sister. I'm trying to be here and do this.
It's okay.
They just murdered Marcellus Williams.
I know.
Like moments ago.
Oh, sister.
Over 1 million signatures.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video of like 100 people walking into Governor Mike Parson's office with stacks, with reams of paper representing these signatures. The prosecutor's office, the family of the murder victim, the defense, the Innocence Project. The Innocence Project, people don't understand, like, the Innocence Project is a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
They get implored daily for people to take their case. And their resources are limited. They only take on cases that they know are innocent and that they think they can win.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that Marcellus Williams is an innocent man, and Governor Parsons declined to commute his sentence. The United States of America just publicly and with knowledge, with foreknowledge, killed an innocent man in the name of bureaucracy because they can. I'm sorry, sister. I didn't mean to bring the big bummer to the
you
table
did it.
today.
It's this, whether you bring it or not. This is why we need to just abolish the fucking capital punishment.
I mean, let's just start right there.
Let's start there. Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a weepy mess. I've been a weepy mess for hours.
I'm sorry.
Like it was about an hour ago that the U.S. Supreme Court declined to review his case.
Yeah.
That was the last Hail Mary, was the U.S. Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And Brett Kavanaugh received the motion from.
Stop it.
That's what the article I read said.
Do you want a table recording for another day?
No, I feel a little bit better already. Just being here in this space where I know that the Chaos Kids get me, you get me. We're all on the right side of justice over here.
Yeah. Oh.
If I just... You know, very few, if any. I think the United States is one of the only, like, quote unquote, Western nations that actually still has the death penalty.
Yeah. It's pretty barbaric.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. There's so many reasons why I didn't want to work.
What's that?
I said there's so many reasons why I didn't want to work in that system anymore.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yep.
Yeah. What's going on with you, sis?
I mean, nothing. I got COVID. I'm just vibing over here with my COVID.
No.
It's okay. It's all right, you know.
When did you start feeling symptoms enough that you tested?
Over the weekend. I woke up Saturday morning feeling like shit.
And you're like, I should take a COVID
Well,
test.
I was like, I've got a bad cold. And then it's so far removed from my brain, like the COVID thing, that I know. I think I just am willfully trying to suppress that time period of my life. I don't know. It didn't occur to me at first. And then I kind of felt like a dick because I was like, I probably should check and then let people know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We actually are in the midst of the biggest spike since like 2021 or something.
Yeah. Not nearly as bad as the first time I had it, whatever that strain was, that fucking mutant strain. But this time around, this horrible symptom of this headache that feels like my head is being smushed.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hate that for you.
Yeah, but
did you take anything? Are you feeling that right now? Are you up for recording today? Do you want to reschedule?
No. What are you talking about? I'm bringing the best of me.
Just quite the pair
My
today,
God.
that's all I'm saying.
I took 2 days in a row off of work, which I have not ever done since I've been there. And really just gave myself permission to, I mean, I did deep clean my house, but then gave myself permission to do nothing.
You know that literally the worst thing you can do when you have COVID is exert yourself physically, right?
Listen,
I'm just saying.
I know, but you know that I'm a germaphobe, and when you throw COVID germs into the mix, then I start to just really get uncomfy.
Fair enough.
Okay, but
Fair
that's
enough.
it. That's my news.
Okay, well then let's just get into it, you guys, because I'm a fucking wreck and I need to get through this story for you. It's still spooky season, so hopefully you'll understand why I chose this story.
Okay.
I have a crime for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you about Andre Daigle.
Okay.
In June of 1987, 27-year-old Andre Daigle was living and working in River Ridge, a small suburb of New Orleans, Louisiana, on the banks of the Mississippi River. River Ridge is a small community where most people know each other. Andre was a carpenter, and he and his business partner and dear friend, Joe Lapinto, were working on a home restoration.
Okay.
Or renovation. They were working on a house. They were fixing up a house
Sure.
for their work. Andre was described as outgoing, energetic, and a good-looking dude who was very popular with the locals. He was living a very chill, like no drama life, no major problems of any kind, no enemies that anyone knew about or could even conceive of. And his life was just pretty good all around.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a single guy working his construction job.
Yeah. Minding
Doing
his
well.
own business, just doing
That's
his thing.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. On June 9th, he and Joe wrapped up the workday and they hop in Andre's truck to head over to Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant to grab dinner with another friend of Andre's, Nick Shelley. I think they're like longtime, really good friends.
Okay.
So after they all finish up dinner, Nick and Andre decide to keep hanging out and they go to a bar not too far from Chi-Chi's called Mitchell's Lounge. And they're going to shoot some pool, have some drinks, super chill, right? Loser buys the drinks.
Perfect.
Right? It's about 10 or 10:30 p.m. when they get there. And this is a Tuesday night. Okay. So there's not a ton of people in the bar beyond the server, Nick and Andre, and probably less than a handful of other patrons.
Mm-hmm.
So Andre loses the first game of pool. And he heads over to the bar to order a round of beer. And there's a woman sitting at the bar, and she strikes up a conversation with Andre while he's waiting for his order. She tells him her name is Thelma. They chat a little bit. Andre goes back with the beer to play another round with Nick. The two play a couple more games, maybe 3 or 4 games in total in the time they are at Mitchell's. Andre lost at least one more game in there and was again at the bar ordering beer, chatting with this woman, Thelma.
Okay.
Sometime around 11 or 11:30 p.m., Nick and Andre are done and just about ready to ditch Mitchell's. But before they leave, they both go to the bar to grab one more beer. And this is when Andre introduces Thelma to Nick. And Nick noticed that Thelma was kind of really going out of her way not to make eye contact with him.
Weird.
She was, however, incredibly friendly and flirty with Andre. So Nick and Andre are drinking their last beer, trying to decide if they're just going to head home or maybe go to another bar or a club next. Andre suggests they go to another bar or club called Bart's, and Thelma jumps in and says she wants to go too and asks Andre if he, would take her with him there. But then I think Nick's like, I don't want to go. So then Andre doesn't really want to go. And then Thelma says, can you give me a ride home?
Oh, Thelma, this is dangerous.
So they all three leave. Nick is done. And when he leaves Mitchell's, it's to go home and go to bed. Thelma gets in Andre's truck with him and they drive off.
Mm-hmm.
So Andre presumably is driving Thelma home. So Andre doesn't show up the next morning at the house that he and Joe are renovating.
Uh-oh.
And by Friday, with no sign or word from Andre, his mom is really concerned.
Yeah.
Somebody in the family normally talks to Andre every day. And I think I mentioned this somewhere else, but he has like 6 siblings or something, and they're all super fucking tight.
Oh, geez. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah. So Andre's mom calls her son, Chris, one of Andre's brothers, and she tells Chris that she hasn't heard from Andre. And Chris knows that someone should have heard from him that week,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their family is really tight. And Andre has animals to take care of, and he wouldn't just abandon his animals. I'm presuming he has at least a couple dogs or something.
Yeah.
So Chris calls the police to tell them that Andre is missing. And of course, the police do not take it very seriously. He's a 27-year-old man. What makes them think that he's actually missing?
Mm-hmm.
The family is certain something's wrong. So they start their own search and start, retracing Andre's steps. They put up flyers and start asking around. And that's when they get the info from Nick about that Tuesday night at Mitchell's. But they don't find Andre. The police were still inclined to believe there was no foul play involved and that Andre had just run off, leaving his family and friends to figure this out on their own. But nobody knows who the fuck this Thelma gal is.
Right.
They don't even know if Thelma is really her name.
Yeah. And why in the world would he just bounce? I hate that they fucking do this.
Right.
I hate this. Yeah.
Right. Because every once in a while, some dude hates his wife and his kids and he leaves and never comes back. And so whenever an adult leaves, that's just what they're doing, even though that's actually the smallest percentage of reasons why people go missing.
Right.
Right.
Yes. God. Mm-hmm.
But people do it all the time. Actually, they don't. It happens, but they don't do it all the time.
No, rare. Very rare.
It's very rare and weird. Okay. So Andre's sister, Elise, she's unable to support the efforts in New Orleans because she's living out on the West Coast at the time in California. But she's frantic to be of help. And just 2 days before Andre went missing, Elise had gone to have a psychic reading done by Rosemary Kerr of Escondido, California. Elise had never really had any interest in that kind of thing before and had mostly gone to see Rosemary on a whim as something silly and fun.
Yeah.
But now with Andre missing and no real help from the police or leads of any kind, she calls up Rosemary out of desperation for anything that might help her and her family find Andre. Mm-hmm. So she calls up Rosemary and asks her if she might be able and willing to help with information on where Andre could be. Rosemary claimed to be a clairvoyant, medium, psychometrist. I don't know what that is.
She made that up.
And I didn't look it up. And a psychic investigator. She also claimed that she had been having eerily accurate visions since at least the age of 4. Rosemary agreed to help Elise, and they made an appointment for the two of them to meet the next day or whatever. So Rosemary asked Elise to bring with her a photo of her missing brother and a map of Louisiana.
Ooh.
Elise went. She brought the things she was asked to bring, but she was super skeptical that it would yield any results.
Yeah.
As soon as Elise arrived for the appointment, Rosemary asked for the photo, and without even looking at it, she placed it on the table, closed her eyes, and began rubbing it with her fingertips. After a moment, Rosemary began to complain that she was getting a really bad headache, as if she were being struck with a blunt object over and over again.
Oh my God.
And she said she could hear a voice repeating over and over again, "My head is killing me."
Oh.
She also saw an image of a black truck with a very distinctive scratch on one side. Elise tells her that can't be right because Andre drives a small white car, but Rosemary insists Andre is showing her a dark truck. In the truck, Andre is with someone with long blonde hair who, quote, had some sort of power over him.
Oh, geez.
Next, Rosemary turned her attention to the map of Louisiana. She had never been to the state before. She knew nothing about it. She brushed her hand over the map. Once again, she was getting a very powerful headache, followed by images of a swamp, a long, low bridge over water, a sandy beach, and the number 7. She didn't know what any of this meant, but she relayed all of this to Elise. She continued to move her hand over the map until she passed over the town of Slidell, which is 30 miles away from New Orleans via a very long, low bridge over Lake Pontchartrain. She felt a jolt as she passed over Slidell on the map, as if a jolt of electricity had jumped up off the paper and into her hand. Then she pointed at that spot on the map, turned to Elise and said, "If you can find him there, do it quick."
Whoa. I just got chills. Do it quick.
So Elise calls her brother Chris back in New Orleans and tells him everything Rosemary has told her. Chris and a bunch of the others in the family had just returned from their 4th day of searching the city for Andre. They were all in mom's kitchen, kind of regrouping and exhausted and working out their plan for the next day when Elise's call came in. Mom hangs up and tells them, you got to go to Slidell. And Chris said it was like a spirit walked through the room and everybody felt it. Like, this is real and we got to go.
Holy shit. This is wild.
So Chris, sister Virginia, another one of the siblings, Nick, the friend, and someone named Joey. I'm not sure how he's connected to all this. He could be a friend. He could be Virginia's husband. He could be another sibling. It's unclear. There's like 7 siblings in this family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, these 4 and a couple others, there's like 6 people at least, right? They hop into a couple of cars and they head towards Slidell, like stat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just as they are approaching the 5-mile bridge to Slidell, which is right above the water of that lake, long, low bridge over water, they see Andre's truck pass by them going the other direction. The black truck with the very distinct scratch on the side. The same truck Rosemarie had seen in her vision. And there were 2 men driving Andre's truck that none of them recognized.
Oh
and here's the thing. Elise didn't know that Andre had gotten a truck.
I was just going to ask, was it like his work truck or something? Or
yeah, I think he had actually traded it in. I don't think he had the white car anymore. And Elise didn't know that. But Rosemarie did.
Fucking points for Rosemarie.
So the 2 cars turn around and they start tailing Andre's truck. And this is what Chris had to say about what happened next. I'm going to read you his account of what happened when they started following the truck. I pull alongside and there is Andre's truck with these 2 guys driving it. So I fall back and yell to my sister in the other car, you get off and call mom. Tell her to call the police, city, state, everyone. Tell them we are going east on the I-10.
Whoa.
My sister exits and we keep on behind the truck. But then I can tell they realized they are being followed. They start trying to fake us out, making like they're going to exit and then at the last minute swerving back onto the I-10. But I stay with them. Then they turn off onto Highway 11 outside of Pearl River. Now we are following them down a dark, deserted highway surrounded by nothing but trees. And I'm thinking my sister is going to tell the police we're on the interstate, but I'm also thinking we can't lose them.
Right.
They're the only link we have to Andre. So we ride like this for a while. And then I see the road is coming to a dead end and the truck pulls up at the dead end and turns around and the lights go off.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Like they're waiting for us.
Mm-mm.
About 50 yards from the dead end, there is a bar room. So I stop and Nick runs in to call the police. And just then the truck's lights come back on and it starts inching toward us, going real slow.
No, this is fucking creepy. This is a horror movie.
I tell Virginia to lie down on the floorboards and Joey, who has a 38 with him, and I open the car doors and crouch behind them, using them as shields. When the truck gets up alongside us and they see us crouching like that, I don't know what they thought. Maybe that we're cops or something, but they take off hauling ass. We take off after them. And by some miracle, there on this deserted road we had just driven down maybe 5 minutes before, there is now a police car parked. So we start yelling, all of us at once, but the cop can't follow what we're trying to say. So Virginia shows him the flyer with Andre's picture and the cop gives chase. We followed behind, all of us going around 100 miles an hour.
Oh my God, this is wild. I wonder if the sister at the bridge was credited for the officer being there, or was it just happenstance?
It turns out, this is my next line.
Oh God.
That cop they came upon was the only patrol car in that whole area that night. It was literally happenstance.
Oh my God. Also, what a group of people to have as your people. Andre is a
right?
loved
I mean,
dude.
This is the definition of ride or die.
No
right?
shit. God.
When I say they're tight, this family is tight.
Good for them.
Totally.
Uh-huh.
Eventually, the police catch up to Andre's truck and they get their hands on the 2 men inside. And as the police are arresting them outside the truck, Chris walks up and kind of like yells at them, "Where's Andre? Where's my brother?" But of course, the 2 men don't answer.
Right.
The 2 men are identified as 21-year-old Michael Phillips and 24-year-old Charles Gervais, both small-time crooks who had done time for burglary. The police just thought that this was a simple open and shut car theft.
Mm-hmm.
and the men were booked without the police really thinking about how weird it was that this psychic, Rosemary, had seen a long bridge in her vision in Andre's truck and the town of Slidell, where the family would not have ever gone to in the first place if she had not pointed them in that direction, and that the family just happened to pass Andre's truck just as they were about to cross over the bridge into Slidell.
I know. You can't write this.
Family. What's that?
You can't write this.
You cannot write this.
Mm-mm.
Andre's family, of course, on the other hand, they find all of it to be way too much of a coincidence to be a fucking coincidence, right? So after Phillips and Gervais are booked, the police start questioning them about like where and how they got their hands on Andre's truck. Gervais is not talking, but Phillips ends up spilling all the details. And that's when the police find out that Andre is, in fact, dead.
No.
Phillips claims it was Gervais who committed the murder, but when Gervais finds out that Phillips is talking, he wants to get in on that action and set the record straight.
Mm-hmm.
When pressed for why they killed Andre, Gervais told police this story about how he heard about a prostitution ring in Texas, and he and Phillips didn't want to work anymore, so they planned to go to Texas, kill whoever was running this prostitution ring, and take it over themselves.
Yep.
But in order to do that, they needed to make sure that they had what it takes to kill someone.
Oh, this was like a dress rehearsal.
This was their test run.
Mm-hmm.
And Andre was chosen at random, literally just wrong place, wrong time.
And this is a better explanation than the truth because...
I think this is the truth.
Oh, okay, great.
The mysterious woman, Thelma, was actually named Thelma Horn. She was Michael Phillips's girlfriend. Phillips and Gervais had sent her out to find someone to lure back to their place with the intention of murdering whoever she was able to successfully get on the hook.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The two killers took turns hitting Andre over the head with a hammer that they found in Andre's toolbox in the back of his fucking truck.
Oh.
But even after literally bashing his head in, he was still alive and breathing, so they strangled him with a lamp cord, but that broke, and Andre was still alive, so then they got a vacuum cleaner cord and a coat hanger and eventually successfully strangled him to death.
Oh, that's awful.
Then they took their couch, flipped it over, ripped the bottom fabric out, shoved his body in there, wrapped in a curtain, and then nailed boards across the bottom to keep his body inside the couch, which sat in their apartment for at least 24 hours.
Oh, God.
They sat on it and watched TV and shit.
Stop it.
While his body was in that couch.
Oh, God, that's sick.
And then they took his body out to where it was later recovered, like the next day. They finally took it, like the next night, and dumped it. Couch. They just dumped the whole couch. Further investigation into this trio would reveal that they were all living in a 2-bedroom apartment together that they were about to be evicted from. Part of the motive for this murder was also to get their hands on a new car because they had one vehicle between them that wasn't running well. They also wanted to get their hands on cash or items they could pawn for cash, and they did. They pawned a bunch of Andre's tools. So the two are charged and booked for murder, and a warrant went out for the rest of Thelma. She was picked up and charged for murder as well.
Good.
Andre's body was recovered near a little strip of sandy beach in the Montauk Swamp, just off the highway that leads out there, off exit 7.
Stop it.
All details that Rosemary had predicted.
Fuck.
The autopsy revealed signs of strangulation and 10 skull fractures caused by a claw hammer, another detail that Rosemary got right. In Louisiana, a not guilty plea that goes to trial can lead to the death penalty. So Gervais decided to plead guilty and take life without parole. But Phillips and Horn both decided they were rolling the dice and going to trial. In preparing for this trial, one of the detectives decides to give Rosemary a call, reluctantly. But he has to know. And so she tells him everything she told Elise, and he's kind of floored at how accurate she was about everything. And the fact that she was a key part of finding Andre's killers compelled the DA to include her as state's witness in the trial.
Wow.
This would be the first time in U.S. legal history that a psychic would take the stand and describe how her visions helped solve a murder.
Holy shit. Rosemary's
February
the
2nd.
MVP here.
What's that?
Rosemary's the MVP here.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
February 2nd, 1988, the state would present its case to a packed courtroom. The press had already reported on the fact that a psychic was giving testimony, so it was like sensational news.
Mm-hmm.
When she took the stand, you could hear a pin drop in the courtroom. Everyone was just enraptured by Rosemary's testimony.
Mm.
At the end of the trial, Michael Phillips changed his plea to guilty. He knew he was going to be found guilty and be put on death row. The evidence against him was overwhelming, so he received life without parole.
He was allowed to do that at the end of his trial?
Apparently.
Interesting.
In a separate trial, Thelma Horn was found guilty of second-degree murder. She also received a life sentence.
Good.
A little bit more about Rosemary, taken from her obituary after she passed at the age of 80 in 2015. Though Rosemary spent the majority of her adult life as a homemaker taking care of 5 children, she also possessed a very special gift. At the tender age of 4 years old, her family realized that Rosemary possessed psychic abilities. Throughout her life, Rosemary used her incredible abilities as a psychic medium to help families locate missing loved ones, and she also worked with numerous law enforcement agencies to help solve cold cases and bring murderers to justice. One notorious murder case she worked on became a book by Joseph Bosco titled Blood Will Tell. Rosemary was raised a devout Catholic, and her faith in God remained unwavering her entire life. For many years, she and James, her husband, were residents of Harmony Grove, a spiritualist community in Escondido, California, and Rosemary became ordained as a reverend. She presided over services in Harmony Grove and later started her own church in Escondido called The Open Door.
Oh.
And that is the case of the murder of Andre Daigle.
Fuck.
Solved in part by a psychic.
I loved that, sister. How'd you find that one?
Psychic investigators.
Oh.
It's a whole show. It's a whole series. There's like 3 seasons of it.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Why don't I know about this? I love that. Oh, yeah. Poor Andre.
I know. The whole, it's that luring thing. I hate the luring. Unsuspecting, random encounter.
Especially when they are just trying to do something good, you know?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'll give you a ride home. He's being he's a good dude. That's why he was driving her home, because he's a good fucking dude.
Yeah.
Not a creep.
Fuck, I hated that, sister.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
You got some spooky chaos for me?
It's not spooky.
You said you were going to match my energy
I
this month.
didn't. Listen, I got COVID. Things change. I will.
Okay, fair enough.
It's early in the month. There's still time to get cray.
Okay.
Right. For now, though, I'm going to tell you a story about Manti Te'o.
Manti Te'o?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a football player?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know this story. I think this one's on my list.
Ah, shit. You want to tell it?
No.
Okay.
With the girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. It turned out to be a little bit more sad than I suspected. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You found Untold.
Yep.
That's where I got the Malice in the Palace story from.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
All right.
There's some really interesting stories in that series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Manti Te'o grew up in Laie, Hawaii, which is a town on the island of Oahu. Mm-hmm. His parents describe him as extremely responsible and agreeable, and sports was a really big deal in his family. His parents were only bringing home $300 every 2 weeks, so the only way any of the kids would be able to go to a university would be basically through an athletic scholarship.
Right.
So Manti started playing football as a young boy and worked really, really hard with the help of his dad. He was super passionate about it and was the best player on his high school team. And he became the number one sought after linebacker in the nation.
Yep.
Yep. So Notre Dame was one of the best known schools in college football, but in the early 90s, they started to kind of lose their footing in the football world and were no longer the school that every high school football star wanted to attend. In 1994, they lost a record of 9 games in a row. I can't believe I'm doing a sports ball story. Like, who am I?
I did one on the NBA. I did one of the, because these stories are interesting. It's not about the, anyway, yeah. I've done the Olympics. Sister, I've done tons of sports
That's
ones.
true. That's true. So Manti had received several offers from colleges, but his dream school was USC.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to a weekend tryout, and when he gets home, his dad tells him if he really wants to go to USC, he should pray about it. They're very devout Mormons, which I didn't make the connection that is a really prominent religion on Hawaii and in the Polynesian community.
Yeah, because the Mormons have been incessantly colonizing and missionarying over there.
Yeah.
It's like fucking gross.
Yeah, it is gross. And so
also, USC is highly sought after by a lot of wealthy families who paid somebody to take the SATs for their kids too.
Yep. See episode something, the college scandal. Yeah.
Yes.
So Manti prays, and he received strong signs telling him that he was meant to go to Notre Dame. And on February 3rd, 2009, he is signed with Notre Dame. He says that as he was signing, he was extremely sad because he didn't want to go to Notre Dame. He wanted to go to USC, but his faith was stronger than his own desires. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So he begins his freshman year in the fall of 2009. He had a tough transition going from an island paradise to the cold Midwest. Also,
yeah, where's Notre Dame?
In the Midwest.
I thought Notre Dame was like on the East Coast for some reason.
You know what? This is a great question. I have a friend that went to Notre Dame.
I was like, isn't it in like Boston or something? Like, what do I know?
No.
I guess I don't know anything.
Where is Notre Dame University? It's in
Michigan or something?
Well, Indiana.
Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a really highfalutin name for a college in Indiana. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's also Notre Dame. It's also a very Catholic school. So he's double out of his element.
Sure.
You know.
Because the Catholics are weirder than the Mormons.
Except, well, you know, I mean.
I'm making faces.
Oh, okay. I thought you were being serious. I was like,
no, I'm like, that's full sarcasm. Like, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So he starts his freshman year. He's having a difficult time. But while at school one day, he gets a friend request on Facebook from a woman named Lene, who was also Polynesian. And Lene tells Manti that she knows his cousin Shiloh. So Manti calls Shiloh and asks, hey, do you know this Lene person? And he's like, sort of, via Facebook. We've had a couple of phone calls and combos through Facebook, but just casual. So Manti and Lene also start communicating pretty regularly in a very casual way. So his first game was against Nevada, and everyone is banking on this fresh new recruit to take the team to victory. There were 80,000 people at that first game, and he fucking crushed it. And very quickly...
He's a linebacker, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. He very quickly became beloved and known by everyone on campus and really kind of like became famous in the sports ball world.
Well, yeah, because college games are televised and a lot of people follow college sports that don't even go to college. I mean, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you know what I think is weird? And I don't know why, but people who buy college sweatshirts because they like the team, even though they never went there.
Look, you don't even get me started on swag. Okay. Like swag. Yes.
Or people that are hardcore rooting. And I'm like, oh, did you go to UW? No, I'm just a Huskies fan. I'm like, but why? You didn't go.
Weird. I know it's weird.
I just think it's weird. Okay.
But I think all like hardcore sports fandom is weird. Like I do. I think it's weird that people invest so much into.
Well, what are we calling hardcore?
Well, I mean, like okay, first, like, let's put it this way. Like, why does it matter what the Seattle Seahawks do to people in Seattle? Most of the time, the players are not representing Seattle as Seattleites or as Washingtonians.
Mm-mm.
They're just like drafted from wherever. They just get the best of the best. And it's not like Seattle owns the team or Seattle has any stake in the team at all. They're a wholly like privately owned franchise of a private company that makes billions and billions of dollars. Doesn't do, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
it's just business. It's weird. It's not, to me, it's not any different than like being like walking around like with your face painted and a foam hand in the air for Starbucks. It's just a brand. You're at that point, you're literally just, do you know what I mean?
Foam hand in the air for Starbucks.
Right?
Totally. Yeah.
It's just a brand.
Agreed. Okay, so meanwhile, he's still having his casual conversations with Lene, and by 2011, Manti's junior year, the two are still communicating as friends. And Lene sends him a text saying that her dad isn't doing well, and Manti was definitely like emotionally there for her.
Right.
She starts opening up a lot about her family and her faith, and the two became super close. They went on to start having phone calls with each other, and she would even be on speakerphone while he was in his dorms playing video games with his friends. And as the conversation got more and more intense, Manti gets to a place where he requested from Lene that they FaceTime or meet in person. There were a few attempts, but Lene would say that her phone wasn't working properly.
Mhm.
And she lives in California.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's not long before Manti starts repeatedly bringing up that he wants to meet in person. And after he starts putting this pressure on her, that's when he gets a text from someone claiming to be Lene's cousin. This cousin asks Manti to give him a call and says it's an emergency. The cousin...
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does he want to tell him a secret?
Stop it. That still gives me the creeps. The creepiest part of that whole story was how we accidentally did Instagram Live for a second.
Yeah.
I hated that photo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Wait,
No, you brought it up. You almost said you brought it up.
no, but I mean, okay.
I
You're
know.
the one who brought the story to the table.
I know.
Now I know about it.
I know. Keep it to yourself, though. See, when I tell it to you, it's like it's exiting.
Giving it away.
Yeah, it's exiting my body.
You've
it's yours
offloaded
now.
it.
Yeah, it's yours now. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's mine now. So, okay. All right.
Okay, great. So he calls the cousin. He says that Lene was in a car accident. She had been hit by a drunk driver and was on life support.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Then Lene's brother calls and speaks to Manti on the phone and offers to go into Lene's room and with him on speaker so he can say whatever he wants to her. And she can't respond, but she can hear him. And the only thing that Manti could hear was breathing through a mask.
Okay.
Then as he starts talking, the breathing gets more rapid, and the brother tells him that that's the most responsive she has been. So Manti makes a commitment to call every single day, and he does.
I'd be more, but I already, yeah. Okay.
Then he finds out that she has received a diagnosis of leukemia.
In addition to being in a car accident, having been hit by a drunk driver.
Yes. So Manti calls every day for a month, and yeah, helps bring her back to life. He's then given a rare opportunity to be included into the NFL draft his junior year and leave college early. He ultimately decides to finish his education, and in 2012, he is in his senior year at Notre Dame. During this time, Manti again tries to make arrangements to meet Lene, but she says that she doesn't want him to see her prior to fully healing. Like she's scarred and all the things.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Then on September 12th, 2012, Manti learns that his grandma has passed away.
Right.
And shortly after, he gets a call from Lene's brother and finds out that Lene had passed away. And between these two deaths, he just totally crumbles. Okay. Manti has like a shit ton of important games coming up, and he refuses to miss them. And the media has announced the tragedy of him losing his grandma and his girlfriend in the same day. Then he does a sit-down interview with Katie Couric about his loss. He becomes even more beloved and is the largest figure in sports that year, and Notre Dame went undefeated for the entire season and went on to the national championship. Everyone's like, this poor sweet baby.
Right.
This poor man.
Right.
Then in December of 2012, Manti gets a call from someone who claims to be Lene's sister, but midway through the call, this person says it's actually Lene. She goes on to tell him that she had to go into hiding for some reason and that she wasn't dead.
This is what we call jumping the shark with the grift. Do you know what I'm saying? We've jumped the shark. We've gone into, this is Dallas Dynasty. This is soap opera territory, back from the dead. But I wasn't actually dead.
Yes.
Just mostly dead.
True love.
True blame.
Leia. Oh my God. And Manti, he's like not really buying this at first. He tells her that she needs to send a very specific picture of herself, and it needs to include the date and a very specific hand symbol that's a Polynesian thing.
Uh-huh.
And so she sends it. Then a tip comes in to Deadspin, which is a sports news website with 8 employees. And it's from someone named Chris. And the email...
Deadspin is like the TMZ for sports, right?
Okay, I love these Deadspin reporters, though, on this Untold story. Because it reminded me so much of Chop and Steal.
Yes.
Where they were basically like, yeah, we have 8 employees. And with a few weeks of research, we were able to fact check all of this shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this email is from someone named Chris, and the email says that Manti Te'o's dead girlfriend isn't real and that Manti Te'o is a fraud.
Right. They're blaming Manti Te'o for this.
Manti still doesn't know what to think about Lene being alive. So as he is doing press interviews, of course, he's repeatedly being asked about his dead girlfriend, and he doesn't deviate from that story. Because
she's still dead. Yeah.
Because what? Yeah. Because it's gotten too weird now.
Yeah.
A journalist from Deadspin takes a deep dive into the allegations about Lene's not being a real person. And they're not able to find any evidence that Lene existed outside of the article linking her to Manti.
Right.
And they suspect that Manti is in on this hoax.
Right.
One reporter tries to find the true identity on Lene's profile, because she does have an active Facebook page.
Right.
Yeah. And the other tries to find the true identity of the person on the other end of the phone, whoever this person is that's actually calling Manti and talking to him.
Right.
God.
We need to know. The people deserve to know.
When Manti goes back to Hawaii for Christmas, he tells his parents about the phone call from Lene and that she is still alive. And his parents call a family member who is a lawyer, and this family member right away says that it sounds like you're being catfished.
Yep.
And it's 2012 or whatever. Manti didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
So
sweet summer child.
I know. When he returns to school, he lets school officials at Notre Dame know, and they decide that before making a public announcement, they want to find out exactly what happened. They want to get their facts straight. Meanwhile, Deadspin is still investigating this whole catfishing thing, and they're able to link Lene to a photo of a young woman on MySpace, but there's no real name on that account.
Because journalism, Amber. Yeah.
Yep. Then they start to look at Lene's Facebook page and who she has listed as family members, and one of her family members is a man named Renaya, who claimed to be Lene's cousin.
Right.
So back to MySpace. The other investigative reporter is finally able to identify the woman being used as Lene as Diane O'Meara.
By the picture.
Yep. So this investigator sends her a private message on Facebook and asks her to call him. So she does. And they're explaining to her how her picture was being used in the Manti Te'o girlfriend debacle. but they can't figure out how the specific picture with the date and her doing the hand gesture happened.
Right.
And she says, "Oh, I sent that to my friend Renaya. He told me that he had a cousin in the hospital and the picture would cheer them up."
My friend Renaya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Notre Dame goes to the championship and loses. And right after, Renaya sends Manti a text and apologizes. And Manti thinks Renaya is Linnea's cousin, right? And he asks him, what are you apologizing for? And Renaya again just says that he's sorry with no explanation.
Oh, Renaya.
So then Dentspin releases the article with the headline, quote, "Manti Te'o's dead girlfriend, the most heartbreaking and inspirational story of the college football season, is a hoax."
And they spin it because they are dead spin. So they
Yeah.
spin. They spin it that like Manti is the reason for this hoax.
Right. Like he did this to up his fame and blah, blah, blah. Manti reads the article, and this is where he first learns that Renaya was playing the part of Linnae.
Can you imagine?
No.
Anytime somebody receives the information that is going to destroy their life and their sense of whatever, that is going to shatter them at the same time as everyone in the general public.
Yeah.
That fucking sucks.
That really sucks. Yeah. So a Notre Dame spokesperson addresses the media. Diane, who is the real person in the photo, also addresses the media and says that Renaya has reached out and apologized, but she doesn't accept the apology. Manti again sits down with Katie Couric and says that he had no involvement in the hoax. He had no idea. And then it turns into this whole spin of he was in on it and he's gay.
Right, because Renaya is AMAB.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to like give away.
No. So where it gets sad is in the documentary, Renaya, who now identifies as she, her, and goes by Naya, explains that she created Linnae while struggling with her own gender identity and sexuality. Although she knew that what she was doing was wrong, she continued her catfishing, saying it was the only way she could escape from her current hardships. She said, quote, "I knew what was right and wrong, but I was too far in love with being looked at in this way. Yes, it was completely selfish, but it was what made me happy. It was what I wanted to be my reality."
Yeah.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
As a result of the hoax, Manti went from being the number one draft pick to not being picked until the second round of drafts, where he was finally picked up by the Chargers. I lost the number one draft pick the night before the draft.
I mean, he's still in the NFL. It's not like he's not doing pretty well for himself.
So Naya moved back to American Samoa after the scandal broke and found support among the local LGBTQ population there. And today, Manti is an NFL free agent who is enjoying a quiet life with his wife, Jovi or Jovi, Jovi, who he married in 2020. And he's got kids with her and he's just vibing.
Well, I'll make sure to cross that off my...
Okay, I'm sorry. Did I do okay?
It's all good. You did great.
Okay.
That was... Wow. That story's wild.
It's so wild.
Mostly wild because shit like that happens to people all the time, but it happened to somebody who was literally like in the public spotlight. And then the way that Deadspin wanted to paint him as like some hoaxer, like he was looking for more sympathy. Like, it's so weird that they would just jump to that.
I know.
Like they wouldn't recognize that maybe he'd been catfished because that's so normal.
I know. And that for whatever it's worth, during the time when he believed that his girlfriend was dead, those were real. That's
emotions.
devastating.
Yes.
Yeah. Poor guy. And he seems so just kind. And he's like,
he seems like a good dude.
Very forgiving, just like, okay. I don't know. Fuck, man. That was wild.
It was wild. And I remember watching that and having that same response at the end when you meet Naya in the dock, right? Like later on. And it's like, oh, she was really in it, like really in the struggle.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no bad guys in this story to me. It's just a lot of sadness.
A lot of sadness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that's
which is what I've been feeling all day. So
I'm sorry.
What? That's just right on brand, right on target. We're just par for the course today. Just sadness.
I'm sorry, sister.
No, I'm sorry for everybody. I mean, I saw an interview with Marcellus Williams' son today on some news program where he basically was like, I'm going to be there for his execution. We already decided it. I've already accepted that that's probably something that's going to happen. And I'm going to be there for him. It's my honor to be there for him. And I just, anyway, I love you, sis.
I love you.
I love you, Chaos Kids. And thanks for bearing with me on this one.
Yeah.
My heart is heavy.
Yeah.
So, maybe cheer us up a little by giving us a really awesome review on like the Apple podcast and like writing something nice to us, or at least giving us a star rating, wherever you're listening to us to help other people find us. And if you really want to make me feel better, then you could go join the Chaos Kids Club. It's $5 a month. You get a bonus episode every month, and we drop our weekly episodes a day early for Chaos Kids Club members. And one of these days, eventually, we're going to have another virtual wine night, but we need more of you to join. Yeah. So that would be amazing.
We're on Patreon. We have a website. We have a Gmail. You know the drill.
Yeah, you guys know all the things. You know where to find us. And then all of it's in our show notes if you don't. So.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, sister, that was just all around chaotic. Jesus.
Goodbye.
Christ.
Christ, goodbye. Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers. My cats are crying incessantly.
I can't hear them. But your mic
breaking me hard. It's breaking me hard.
Arg.
Arg.